So 2 podcasts in 1 week, huh? Anyways, Corrie, welcome to season 1. Is this episode 15 or 16?
15.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Man, these are all misnumbered. Okay, episode 1.
Season 1, episode 15.
Maybe at episode 20, we should start season 2.
Guys,
Not
she
that
was
it
on
matters.
vacation. Heather, just tell us how your vacation was.
I went to the Indianapolis 500.
How was that?
135,000 people.
Oh my word.
It was so crowded.
Was it hot?
It was actually cold, and everyone was dressed for hot, and everyone was freezing, but somehow I managed to get sunburnt on the tip of my nose. So yes, I spent the last year trying not to make my face red, and I undid all my doing in an hour.
And as long as I'm the youngest twin looking when we're 70.
You'd be happy to know that I had no idea who was racing, and one of them won.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, the real true race was trying to leave the parking lot. I did not win.
Speed racer? No. Not this time.
What did you do this weekend?
I am prepping. Yesterday I was not a Disney adult. Today I
did see a
declared
photo
myself
floating around
a
of Corrie, a Disney adult.
I made Disney cookies. I have a Disney visor, Disney shirt, Disney ears.
So basically, you took out a second mortgage and you bought some Disney crap.
And now I'm a Disney adult. I can't wait for my pamphlet to come in the mail to tell me how to live my best Disney life.
Yeah, so we're actually going out of town next week.
Next week.
Doesn't mean we won't be here deleting your threads. Don't worry about that.
They'll be here.
But we leave on Monday.
Whatever, 6th, 7th.
But I know you guys love hearing our sweet voices across your audio speakers. So we will be pre-recording a podcast that will go live next Tuesday.
Oh, we couldn't drop it sooner?
I mean, I could upload 5 today. We would have to record them.
Okay, no. Bad idea. Back to square one. All right, Heather, let them know exactly what is this podcast? What are they in for if they decide to not turn us off?
We are the representatives from a group on Facebook called Sugar Cookie Marketing Group.
You made that sound so official.
Sugar Cookie Marketing Group.
The representatives, the official reps.
Yeah, we are the Miracle Twins. That's not because we are self-proclaimed miracles. It is literally our last name, and there are 17,000 bakery boss people in the group as of today.
Bakery boss babes and dudes.
Yeah, for some reason, they've elected us to be their voice. And we focus on anything that grows your bottom line and keeps your head in the game and the right mindset so they can have long-term success in what is actually a pretty grueling industry. I know it sounds like cookies and candy, but it's like cookies and tears.
Yeah, I was hunched over for 6 straight hours yesterday making Eddie.
Oh, you mean you weren't on vacation?
No.
Oh, it's terrible for you.
No, my nose is whitening some icing.
Right, well, we did do a first corporate Eddie order, so we'll talk about that later. But the way this podcast is broken down, I think Corrie went rogue, but she'll introduce us to her rogue segment in a second.
Oh, I did.
Okay, so we usually start with the marketing minutes, which is something more marketing focused. And after that, then we go to the business of baking, something more mental strategy, mind, business, inspiring, or hey, today we're going to be talking about reframing, which is something I really like.
Okay.
After that, we go to voicemails, which are calls or texts from people like you. I feel like I'm on PBS. And then after that, group stuff. Finally, Twinterests, a weird segment where we tell you something we're into.
And then sponsors. We have one.
Our one and only favorite.
Okay, so I am going to dive in to the marketing minutes, but I'm doing a little twist this week, and I am going to talk about the sales process. I know we talk a lot about marketing, such as being in a sugar cookie marketing group, but what does one person do after the marketing works and you enter the sale?
You buy the private island, right?
There is a few steps in between.
Add like that palm tree and that palm tree.
So I know this is marketing minutes, but I thought I'd change it today. Tell me which one of these sticks. I'm a sales center.
That sounds like you're a clinician.
Okay, how about the sales line?
The sales line?
Yeah.
Why?
Okay, here's my last one. Sales calls with Corrie.
That's better.
We'll work on that. Maybe this will be an only 1 weeker.
Oh, no, 1 weeker.
If you guys didn't know, you do now, but I actually used to sell used cars. I know a lot of people are picturing the greaseback sales guy that opens his long black trench coats and says, I want to buy a watch. But I swear, no greasy hair. I probably do need a shower, but I swear.
Can
I'm
confirm
not sleazy.
Latter.
Heather's looking at the mess. But Heather, I want to talk to you today about the sales process. If you sell baked goods, most of those sales in this day and age start out online. So how does someone sell when they're no longer face-to-face? When we sold cars, there was this random office called the E-office, and it stood for...
The E-office?
Yep, it stood for the Internet Office, but I don't
The
know why it
I-office?
was called the I would say Apple probably said no. Call it the I-office.
Okay, well, I'd like to buy a vowel.
So it was called the E-office, but you had to have shifts in there. So about 2 shifts each week where you just sold online only.
Go.
So I learned a lot, Heather, from being in this Internet office.
AEIOU office, got it.
Yeah. But a lot of it, when you come to the sales, if you don't have that face-to-face, you're not seeing people's facial expressions. That tells you a lot about the sales. So how does one sell?
Sale.
Online.
You're talking about them sailing.
How does someone sell online? So I want to pretend, this is going to be back and forthy.
Okay.
I'm going to have you be my client, potential
Okay.
client, and I am going to be your cookie dealer.
Am I reading from a script or am I just going rogue?
Please don't go so rogue. That makes it hard.
I do not see where my script is there.
Okay, I'm going to show you the line.
Okay, I see. Okay, go ahead. I'm
Okay.
ready to pretend I said this myself.
But a lot of times we see in groups on posts screenshots of customer interactions where the customer is actually oddly leading the conversation. Like they are taking the sale and
Let me buy from you, please.
and you have this baker, this poor baker who never wanted to be a sales guy in the first place, is like, I guess, no wait, huh? What? And then, by the end they've bought your house and your family and now you're their
Your
hired
AEIOU office is gone.
So I want to talk to you about probably the biggest thing I learned when it came to online sales and selling online, over the phone, just with not a person in front of you.
Okay.
And that is being an open-ended question. Let's
That's a
just
good idea.
say that you send me a message. Just send me just an opener.
Hey.
Okay.
Okay.
That
was good?
That was
Did you
a
do it?
good
Okay.
one. Okay, so I could respond. Let's just say I respond this way. I say, hey, would you like to buy some cookies? First off, that's close-ended.
Right.
And my company's name is The Crumb Cookies, so it's not like you're trying to buy a couch.
Okay, so ask me.
Want to buy some cookies?
Yes.
There's 2 close-ended questions. Okay, so we're now, three messages into the sale, and I know nothing more than I did beforehand, but the sales clock is ticking. There's an expiration date on every sale.
Yeah.
So instead of just saying, want to buy some cookies, I think I would probably say something like, well, hello, Heather, what can I do for you?
Okay, I have my snake Felicia's first birthday coming up, and I was going to throw a party, and I wanted to see if you could make some snake cookies.
Okay. See, so that is now an open-ended question. I have now...
You
2
forced
pieces of
me to
information.
give you more answer.
Yeah. So instead of this back and forth, want to buy some cookies? Yes. Cool, I have cookies.
Okay.
Can I buy some?
Yeah.
We now have more information to go off in the sale. So open-ended questions allows the customer...
So when you say, just for the people out there wondering why we keep using the word OP, what is an open-ended question and what is a closed-ended question? Give me an example.
That is honestly a great point. I should have said that.
I got you guys.
A closed-ended question is something that only needs one word answer. So it would be a yes or a no would be a very closed-ended question.
Because it closes. It could be the last thing we communicate and it could end a conversation.
So people who are listening, if I say, who's your favorite twin? You say Corrie, close-ended, no more discussion.
Then it's open right back up because I would be like, why did you say that?
An open-ended question is a question that alludes to more conversation coming out of it. So instead of saying, Heather, do you want to buy some cookies? She says, yes. Heather, what can I do for you? Hey, I would like to buy some cookies.
If I cannot reply with yes or no, it's an open-ended question. So if you can say, what can I do for you? And I say, yes, that makes no sense. You've asked an open-ended question.
Red flag. She is not
So
my ideal
basically
client.
what Corey's saying is as you go through your question and answer, as you go through your script, if at any point the client just said the word yes, you ask the incorrect question for what we're saying in the podcast. You can run your business as you like, though.
Yes.
This would just be more efficient.
Long sales message. Okay, so Heather says her snake's first birthday's coming up. She's throwing a party.
I hope you know Felicia's 7, but thank you.
Yeah, but you have another one.
And it is 4.
Okay, it's having a 5th birthday.
Thank you.
And she wants some snake cookies made. Now we are talking. Not only do we know that she wants cookies, but we even have a theme to go with it. Next, I could say, that's great. Do you have a date chosen?
Can I reply? Look, Corrie, can you have a date chosen? I can reply yes or no to this.
Yes.
And it's closed.
It's a closed-ended
So I'd
question.
say yes.
Okay, now I know nothing more.
But I know people in the podcast land are saying, well, they're not going to just say yes, but you've given them the option to.
Yes, and we want to, as salespeople, guide the
conversation.
sales process.
Because, and I think you have this written later, but
Okay.
because every time you ask a question, you've added a step into your sales funnel.
And
Guess what happens when
People
fall out of sales funnels? So every time Corrie asks me a question, I could just stop responding. So the fewer questions she has to ask me,
The more information I get, and then Heather
the
can
less
get on
likely
with her
I'm
life.
about to back up, because every time I'm about to spend money, so there is that self-doubt. Like, do I want to do this? Can I back out? The faster Corrie can get me across the finish line.
Amen.
Indy 500 fun.
I know that when I'm ready to buy something, I, in my mind, have made that decision to buy it right then and there. If there is so many hurdles in order for me to get there,
I've given you the chance to back out.
Buyer's regret.
Right. Remorse. But
Buyer's remorse. Regret and remorse. Okay, so I could say that's great. Do you have a date chosen? Heather could say, yeah, close-ended, not good. Instead, I'm going to ask you, that's awesome. When were you looking at having this party, and how many guests do you think will be in attendance?
yes. No, so I can't.
Can't. Too weird.
So I got to give you a date. Well, we're thinking July 3rd, and I was trying to get some crazy snake friends there. So maybe about 20 weirdos.
Snake wranglers.
My peoples.
Now I have a bunch more information on my side, and I actually can guide the sale. That's my job, is to be a sales guider and closer. Both. We want to go both.
ABC, always be closing.
Yeah,
AEIOU office.
Hey, Heather, this is the coolest theme, and I'm so excited to be a part with it. With 20
Excited.
So excited to be
Snake bro.
Yeah. I'd suggest 3 dozen cookies, so you have a few extra. The best part, you can freeze them forever the ones you don't
Interesting, because Corrie knew that I only have 20 people coming, so the odds of us typically defaulting to 24, 2 dozen, but you went to 3 dozen, and you sold me on why it might be a good option for me.
Because at the end of the day, I want to sell that car.
And to be honest, you're a better example. I have no idea how many people
Exactly.
cookies feed.
Yes. We don't know. You're going to.
I know I can eat 5, so if I'm going off of that, we're going to need a lot.
So that's exactly right. So now I can guide you, because that's my job as the expert, as the business owner, as the baker, to be like, hey, you have 20 guests, 3 dozen works. Guess what? You're happy that you have guidance. One, I'm happy I sold an extra dozen. And then we come out of the sale both happy. As Heather stated before, each conversation that goes back and forth is
Each
a potential
touch point, right?
Yeah, it's a potential opportunity to lose a customer. I don't know if Heather's kid just puked all over her and that's why she abandoned the sale, but I can look back at myself. Did I get as much information as I could? You don't need to have an extremely long sales process to make the sale, but you need to use that time wisely.
And if you're having to scroll back, over and over and up and up and up to find when the conversation started, there's something that needs to be optimized there. Frankly, it saves you more time, and time is money.
Exactly.
Right?
So I know when Heather and I make a sale, we try to include everything someone would need to make that buying decision in that initial conversation. Because if we don't, we have the potential to lose them. If I let my client take over the conversation, I'm probably going to be making 45 LOL dolls by Friday.
Right.
And nobody wants that. But by leading the conversation and becoming that business owner, that salesperson that guides you through the process to the purchase, you're more likely to have a successful sale that turns into something versus someone saying, I know a lot of people say, they never got back to me. What happened to them? Do they even read? I said that 3 comments up. It shouldn't be 20,000 comments up.
Yeah. Also, pro tip, nobody's reading. Nobody is reading.
So the more information you can give them while they're ready to make that sale, the more chance you have that they're going to put money into your pocket.
Right. I think a great example, because I like watching mid-air disasters on Amazon, is you are the traffic controller for these people flying their planes. Air traffic controllers are merely guides to tell you how to get that plane down the fastest and most efficiently. But a lot of people are just saying, hey, land in my airport. And it's just burning fire down there because you weren't there to manage these people. This is exactly how mid-air disasters ends.
Another analogy is when people came in to buy cars, that's what they were there for. They weren't there to be my best friend.
No.
They were there to have 4 wheels that they could drive off.
But they also needed your guidance. Do you have the car? What is the good about this car? Tell me what I want.
Yes. And it's my job as a salesperson. I don't feel pushy because you're not here to shop for couches at a car dealership.
Right. So Corrie's job is to say, hey, listen, I know you wanted the Mercedes, but we have this BMW here available today. I can get it to you right now. It has a V8. That one has a V6.
Please buy it so I can eat dinner tonight.
Right. I'm so hungry. I'm actually so hungry. We have not eaten lunch. I don't know why we're doing these podcasts so late.
Later. Okay, but that's really all I had as far as...
So your challenge, if you could challenge people for this sales calls with Corrie segment... There's a lot of S's. Sorry, this little pop filter is not fun. No. What would the challenge be?
My challenge is to go back through the last 5 correspondences that you've had
making them work.
Oh, man. You thought this was going to be easy?
I thought business was easy.
I want you to go back through your last 5 correspondences, and I want you to... We actually did this a lot when we sold cars, is role play it. And I want you to re-role play that conversation. What can you cut out? What's the fodder? What's the extra stuff you could actually cut out to make a more efficient sales process?
Yeah. How many conversation bubbles can be 1 instead of 5?
Yeah. Instead of thanks. You too. You're welcome.
Right.
Let's cut all that out.
So on that note, sorry, just adding to your little great topic today. Sure. My last message to people is a closer, but it's not just the word thank you. It's a recap of what we just discussed.
Right. And I know anytime I get a cookie sale, I know I have to have one more correspondence with them when they see them and they actually pick up the cookies. Mm-hmm. So what I say is, this is great. Thank you so much for payment. If you have any questions, shoot them over. If I don't hear from you, I'll see you Saturday at 10 p.m.
And you've set the expectations that no news is truly good news, but you will be receiving news eventually.
Yeah. I know I said 10 p.m. and someone's going to be like, ooh, Corrie does those late night deliveries. 10 a.m.
Yeah. But yeah, you get the point. Yes. I like that one. Okay, so in the business of baking, again, what would you describe this segment as?
Business with baking? Are we renaming this bad boy?
The business with baking. Business with baking.
Business with baking is more like take off your marketing cap and put on your business cap, and this is how to be more efficient in your business, which in this one I think can translate into your life too.
Perfect. I'm going to read a little bit, but Don't check out because you're going to be involved.
All right.
Okay, so here's the trick. I must have learned it from like a TikTok or a therapist office or a book. I cannot remember, but it's very much served me well in both my professional and personal relationships. It's the concept of reframing.
Okay.
Have you heard of it?
No.
Okay. It's based on the knowledge that our perception of things is a product of our unique past experiences. So your experiences and mine are wildly different. Even we're twins. I couldn't be any more duplicated, but your experiences still do not parallel mine.
Sure.
For example, let's say you, Corrie, had worked at a company with a really toxic work environment.
Been there, done that.
AEIOU office was a nightmare. Employees didn't really matter. In fact, it almost seemed like the clients didn't matter either. Everything was run off of ego. Firings were frequent and unfair. You'd seen many of your colleagues you'd spent lunch hours commiserating with, fired without notice and pretty much without reason. It was a high-stress environment, and deadlines were often missed due to the understaffing, which led to more firings and even fewer employees to pick up the ever-growing slack. Employee churn was through the roof, very unfair management team. You worked at this company for 10 years before you finally had enough and quit.
Okay.
You find a job at a small business where the business owner is the polar opposite of your last employee, right? Mm-hmm. He is caring, truly wants what seems to be the best for both his employees and his clients, and is a genuinely nice person. You've worked there for 6 months.
Okay.
You check your email today, and all it says is, please come see me in my office.
Oh, my butt would clench.
Exactly. So tell me what would go through your mind.
I would say he's unhappy. I've done something wrong. I'm going to get fired. I left tuna in the work microwave.
Right. So Corrie's red alert sirens are going off. She's had 10 years of alarms going off, and the last boss would call employees into the office, and they'd walk out with a cardboard box full of their things. Corey's heart rate is rising. She feels immediate stress response with an increase in cortisol, the stress hormone. She begins perspiring. Her hands become cold and clammy, even though they always are. It's gross. The body is in fight or flight mode. Something's about to happen that she's witnessed happening before, and it will not be good. The body's gearing up for something bad. She walks into the boss's office. She sits down. He asks her to shut the door. Panic alarms now. This is it. What will she say when he lets her go? Are you going to be mad? Are you going to be defensive? Are you going to grovel? Please, give me another shot. What was it? What was the thing that is causing this to happen? Was it a client email that you forgot? Was it something
I'm going back to the last 6 months of I was short with that person. I forgot to respond to this email.
Your thoughts are racing.
Oh yeah.
But your panic, your stress level is through the roof, and it's happening in seconds.
This didn't even happen right now. I'm stressed.
She sits down. So you sit down. Boss looks you in the eyes, and he says, would you mind helping me plan the office picnic? The office admin's having a rough time. I know it's out of your scope. Didn't want to put you on the spot. That's why I asked you to come and shut the door. If you don't want to, it's fine. But you kind of seem like you know a lot of cool restaurants here because you talk about them a lot. So I kind of feel like you'd be good at it. But again, it's out of your scope. I get it. And you don't have to. It just would be kind of helpful. Would you mind?
Reaches for trash can.
Sure.
Where do we start?
You feel an immediate sense of relief overshadowed by the adrenaline that was firing mere seconds before. Your body is confused, but it is relaxed again. You take a deep breath and let the boss know you'd be happy to help. I was told, this was by a therapist, I was told that our experiences can be compared to witnessing a car accident at a 4-way intersection. However, you and I are standing on opposite sides of the intersection. I'm at northeast, you're at southwest. So what I see and what you see are exactly the opposite. However, we just witnessed the exact same thing.
Okay, I can see that.
So from my perspective, I'm going to say, yeah, I saw a yellow car. They had a yield sign, turn left. The other car must have been speeding. It came out of nowhere. I didn't even see him. Mm-hmm. From your perspective, no, I saw the blue car the entire time. The idiot taking the left just pulled into the lane. You and I in a court of law would be exactly the opposite witnesses, and we'd be on different sides of the table.
Hell bent on it.
Right. I'm not lying, but neither are you lying.
Right.
Our perspectives are different. Mm-hmm. So to bring it back from businesses to cars.
This has been a wild ride.
Up and down ride. Let's see. So you would reframe. So we want to reframe the current situation is you did see the car accident that I saw. Mm-hmm. We saw different sides of the car accident. Mm-hmm. You're not wrong and I'm not wrong. But there would need to obviously be a tiebreaker, right? But neither of us are lying. Right. We're not malicious to each other. However, I'm taking your side as you're calling me a liar. Oh, you think I'm a liar? No, I saw what I saw. You were wrong.
Yeah.
So we need to reframe it. So everyone typically hates getting these meet me in my office emails.
Yeah, I'm always if I get one of those, I'm
I quit already. I quit. You can't fire me. I'm untouchable. Yeah, so these getting fired emails or whatever we insinuate that they are, the feeling is coming not from this job, it's coming from your last job. Mm-hmm. It really requires a specific self-awareness and training to reframe things. It's not something that I can tell you to do on this podcast and you're yeah, I can reframe perfectly now.
Good. Okay, yeah, great.
You have to say, okay, if I'm going to reframe, so let's say we're back in the office, taking us back to that. We're leaving the car accident scene. We're back in the office. And the AEIOU. We're back in the last segment. We're now at the intro. Just kidding. So we're back in that office. So my reframing would say, hey, this boss has been nothing but kind to me. Mm-hmm. In fact, he doesn't fire people without having many meetings with them before about performance issues.
Usually it's always warranted when someone bites the dust.
Mm-hmm. And if he has an issue, he usually emails me and it's really quick resolution.
Okay.
I rarely see him fire people. Uh-huh. Odds are he's not firing me today based off of the experiences I've had with him.
Okay.
So now, please see me in my office. Reframed it. It's okay. Whatever he's going to do, it's going to be either he needs help or he has a quick question.
Yes.
Instead of the panic, sweat, cortisol increase, I'm going to cry. Am I going to cry? I need tissue. Should I bring tissues? Does that show weakness? Is a tissue the white flag of surrender? So, oftentimes we're pulling from, when we deal with our clients, we're pulling from past experiences. It's who we are as people.
And I see that probably all the time in post I see where they're can you believe this person asked for another flavor? The last person that asked for another flavor ended up saying I hated it and threw it back in my face.
Right. So you're punishing client B for actions of client A. Mm-hmm. But we have to reframe. So something I see is somebody replying with very short words because they didn't ask open-ended questions. But
Yeah,
no.
buddy.
So we have a client who replies with like, sounds good, thanks, no punctuation. Like my grandmother cannot find the exclamation point or emojis in text.
One time she did find the eggplant
Yeah,
emoji
and she said,
the
have
eyes emoji and sent it to her.
What?
What are you up to on a Friday night, girl?
Of course it is. Yeah. So, I have to reframe. I could say, look, Gams is mad. She didn't say goody with an exclamation point. She said goody. I added inflection based off of past experiences with other people. Mm-hmm. What I have to do to reframe Gams, that's what we call the eggplant emoji grandmother, is say Gams has already told me before she cannot find punctuation very easily, but she's always a happy person. If she wasn't a happy person, she typically brings it up to me. So this text isn't written maliciously. It's written by somebody who cannot find punctuation.
Right.
I've reframed the situation.
Yeah.
Right. So when you reframe things, it allows you to release a lot of anxiety.
I would say even with a client interaction of someone maybe who isn't, your eggplant grandmother, that you can reframe them by shutting off that last conversation with maybe a crazy client and being like, this is a new person.
Right.
Their short answers are not a reflection
of their view of me.
Absolutely.
So then I would say, so we have a new client. Hey, this client's worked with me before. She's always been very nice in person. She comes across very curt online. Mm-hmm. What could be happening here? Could she be mad? She's never indicated it. Could she be upset by something? No, I set her expectations. She's agreed. She's paid. She's purchased from me before. Clearly, she likes me. Mm-hmm. So then I can say probably the most likely assumption is that she does not like texting.
And I think you can even, if she doesn't like texting, maybe she wants a phone call. She seems very pleasant on it.
But instead of having the anxiety of she's, oh my goodness, she's mad at me, I'm going to avoid her. I've created this whole story based off of a past experience that this person never had with me and doesn't deserve to be held to.
Absolutely.
So, Corrie, I wrote a little script for you and Nate.
Nate is my husband.
Nate is Corrie's husband. Oh, sorry. I'm hitting stuff on my computer. Nate's Corrie's husband, and he's a police officer. Okay. So this is how reframing works in personal relationships. If you can really master reframing, you will have a superpower in your back pocket.
You act like I can.
Until you get fired.
Don't reframe that.
When he told me I wasn't doing a good job before. Okay, so Corrie has a husband, police officer. Sometimes over lunch, Corrie will be like, Nate came home. He was in the worst mood, right? He threw his stuff on the counters. He was an overall, total grump. He bit my head off for not having the dog walked. What a jerk. I walked the dog all the time. It was his turn. It wasn't even my turn. I don't get why he comes at me with that dog. It was his dog. Obviously, we skipped dinner because I didn't want to see him. And then he ignored me on his phone anyways, which was super frustrating. I didn't deserve any of it. I don't get why he treats me so bad when I didn't do anything wrong.
Were you in the closet last night? Just kidding.
Ray, I'll walk you back.
Hold on, buddy.
Come here, buddy. Okay, so in the example above, you made it about you.
Oh, absolutely.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm. But what do you think it was truly about?
I think Nate has a high-stress job.
Mm-hmm.
I think he has people who are constantly yelling at him. No one enjoys being arrested.
Just a bad day.
So I think you could have a bad day. Maybe we bring
so
it home.
For you to make his bad day, on you, that's incorrect. You need to reframe it, right? Mm-hmm. So a reframing of that situation will look something like this. Nate has had a bad day at work. This is like your internal monologue, right?
Okay.
Nate's had a bad day at work. This is not about me. He is tired and he has back-to-back shifts for the next 4 days. He can't even turn off right now because he has to wake up at 5 a.m. He cannot relax. He's throwing his stuff around because he probably wants attention. He probably wants to vent about the workday, right? It's not throwing stuff around so you have to clean it up. It's so you ask him how his day was. If I let him have the proverbial mic for a while, he'll probably be able to blow off some steam. It feels good to get problems off your chest. Right?
Absolutely.
I'd like it.
Me too.
Probably won't want to go out to dinner either. So I'm going to order pizza while he's talking. So as soon as he finishes that last sentence, there's a doorbell with pizza on it. I mean, talk about a relief. You get an event, you get food.
Yeah. Sign me up.
You'll probably cool off by then. But you know what? I'm going to mention that I'll walk the dog as soon as dinner's done so he doesn't have to bring it up. Mm-hmm. Right?
You really make me feel loftier.
But if we reframe it, Nate's not mad at you.
Right.
He's mad. He's frustrated about his day. But it's easy to take what did you just say to me? And make it about yourself. You got to reframe it. And being self-aware enough to notice when you're pulling from past experiences and not the present is a talent.
Yeah. I think almost if I were able to reframe, I feel like I've actually lived it, but this is not my situation.
Corrie did walk dog. And to be honest, it's Corrie's dog. It's not Nate's.
And to be honest, Nate only walks the dog, not Corrie. I do order the pizza. But you're right. I think if someone were to be able to take a step outside of the situation, instead of be like, what could he be mad at? I didn't empty the dishes. I didn't walk the dog. Oh my goodness, he didn't walk the dog or empty the dishes yesterday. And then make it this big thing it was never. And to just be like, hey, hon, pizza's on the way. How did the work go?
Right. Imagine being mad at somebody when they had a frustrating day. It would be so confusing for the other person. Now they'll have growing resentment and animosity, saying like, wow, I just wanted this person to be a bit of a shoulder to cry on, and here they're having an attitude with me. Well, you know what? I don't like you either. And then it escalates.
It does. I know, because I'm not a superhero, and reframing isn't always fun.
Turns out it does escalate.
I sometimes say to Nate, you mad? And he'll be like, nah. All right, we're good.
But that's even saying like, hey, are you mad? And someone says no. Well, I think you're mad because this one time I was in a relationship with this guy.
True.
That reframing is, hey, I've asked Nate if he's mad.
He said no. I'm going to take his word for it.
And I'm going to let that emotion that was kind of building up go.
Yeah.
Right.
Or I'm going to harbor it and not
going to kill him. You have to visit me in prison. You'll get fired from his life. Just kidding.
Poor guy. He doesn't listen to the podcast. We can talk about him all we want.
Yeah. So bringing it back, if I could challenge people after this segment is look at where you're feeling an emotion fire up real fast for a very short correspondence and see if you're pulling from a past experience. I know that our life is a series of past experiences, but are you punishing this person for that? Or can we come at them and assuming the best until the worst truly does show its hand, you know?
Yeah. I like that.
Okay. That would be my life lesson with Heather.
Can't wait to use it tonight when Nate gets home from work.
Okay, here is our segment on voicemails. This is calling or texting or emailing in. But you all did great last week, so we have a huge backlog.
Yeah, but keep backlogging.
Yeah, I really like reading these texts late at night. Like, oh, I got a text.
It's because she doesn't get normal texts.
Nope. Oh, look, somebody asked me a working question. The phone number is, you want to say it in your sultry voice?
Okay. If you
Whoa, why do you have to do it that way?
I had to.
Okay.
Sales calls with Corrie.
I'll be ordering pizza tonight after we walk the dog.
Okay, if you would like to call or text in, we swear we will not answer or text back. But the phone number...
I think I turned on an autoresponder text.
Stop it.
Okay.
571-556-5644.
Great. And the email, if they wanted to email,
is hello@sugarcookiemarketing.com.
Okay, here's the first one. I'm going to play it.
Hey, Heather and Corrie. This is Tammy calling from New Iberia, Louisiana, Cajun country, deep down south. I have a dilemma, and I'm hoping you guys can help me. Right now, I am booking 6 to 8 weeks in advance, and I'm doing about 4 to 6 dozen a week. That's my limit for right now. But my mom and her fiance are needing me to bring them to their doctor's appointments because I'm the only one that's available in the family. And I'm the only child for my mom. But they're both seeing specialists, and they're both having to have tests run, test after test. And I'm needing to cut down on my orders to allow time to take them to their appointments. So my question is how do you inform your customers on social media without letting them know your personal business? I don't want to get a huge amount of personal messages or text messages on how my mom and her fiance are doing. Not to mention, I don't want to alert anyone to something serious because they're really not serious conditions. And I appreciate my people worrying about my family. I'm so grateful for that, but I don't want to have to explain myself. So how do you handle this professionally? I would love your take on it. Thank you so much for everything you do for us. And I really don't have a favorite twin. I love you both. I love y'all. Take care. Bye.
Great question.
I love it. She said Cajun country.
I like that accent too.
I know.
At least
We're moving south.
Yeah.
If you cook for us.
Right. So her question in summary is, hey, I have some personal stuff going on in my life and I don't necessarily want to broadcast that, but I need to curtail orders for a little bit.
So Heather, you did have we discussed this before. What was your idea to say? I don't think you honestly have to reveal your personal details. I wouldn't either.
Right. So frankly, all you have to say is I'm sold out. It doesn't matter if you're sold out because you're taking 0 orders.
You could even say sold out, or I'm taking less orders so I can spend time with the family. You know, keep it on a positive. I like to keep sales positive.
Right.
You know? So even though you might
Good
be going
vibes, good
through
vibes,
a
yeah.
tough time, you don't need to say, oh my goodness, please pray. I guess you could.
My dog was not walked last night, and I have murdered my husband today.
Yeah,
so
so
we'd
want to
keep
keep it positive.
Yeah.
So you can say, hey, you know, I'm limiting orders for the month of August so I can spend time with family. So if you need to get those orders in, please get them in sooner rather than later so I can get you booked and on the schedule.
Right. You know what's actually going to happen? It's funny because a lot of people do those honest posts because they do have to curtail orders. But what happens is that is creating a sense of scarcity, which is a sales tactic. So it says, hey, you have a limited time. I have limited space, place you're in now. So you'll see a brief increase in orders.
But that is okay because what our goal is to fill up that calendar. So you have the right expectations of what your calendar looks like while you're navigating around your family's appointments and things like that. And then for the customers that maybe didn't get the cutoff, you can say, hey, I just want to let you know I'm fully booked, but I will be
Taking
back
orders.
in full force in October.
Right.
I cannot wait to serve you.
And what Corey's doing there is she's filling her sales funnel. What we don't want to do is like, hey, we're taking no orders. Also, I'm disappearing. Because you're going to have to resuscitate your entire marketing plan when you return.
annoying.
So have your marketing, have the away message. Facebook gives you that option to have the away message. Hey, I'm currently out of the office for a bit. We're booked for June, but I'm taking orders for July. Looking forward to working with you.
Exactly. So you keep that positive. It's always on the upbeat. No one, if you keep it positive, no one's going to say, oh my God, what happened to your family?
Right.
Yeah, I'm spending time with family. Sounds like a good thing.
And she's actually driving to the hospital, so you don't have to divulge your personal life if you don't want to. And people will be just fine with that. It's not unique, right? This taking a break is not unique. There's a dental office that plays over the radio. Mm-hmm. And at the end of I think it's the one that puts you under, so it's like more expensive. Mm-hmm. But it'll be like at the end, it'll be like, now booking orders for August. And all it tells me is if I call, they'll put me in a slot for August. They'll not put me in June. They'll not put me in July, but I will get August.
Yeah.
And I'm not offended, but my expectations are set. What I don't want to do is fall in love with this idea that I can get my teeth cleaned in July, call, and they're like, we're only booking for August.
Right.
People like their expectations set.
Yeah. Could you even almost say, like, I only have 2 more orders I can take for August?
Yeah, and you're going to get those
12 orders.
Yeah. All right. So, no, I don't think you owe anybody an explanation if you don't want to. Almost wouldn't want to necessarily put anything super sad.
No, I try to keep it on the positive.
Right.
I mean, if you want it, it's up to you as your business goals. Me and Heather are more on the positive. I want to keep it positive. People won't go meddling in my business when it's positive.
Mm-hmm. And a secondary thing is don't forget your social media when you're at office. Mm-hmm. Let people still post. But the caption can be like, I know I'm not taking for orders for June, but here's an order I made last year and I was super happy with it.
Yeah,
like keep the content going. Yeah. And I know that Bakery Tico have their June calendar up today, their prompt calendar. And it's just a lot of things that you can schedule out so you don't have to be there, but you also don't have to let your social media die while you're at office.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, I'm going to read voicemail number 2 for
Go
you.
ahead.
Hello, Miracle Twins. I'm several episodes behind in listening to the podcast, so I apologize if you've done this already. Could you talk about the ideas of how to bake marketing into every step of the cookie process? For example, ingredients. Maybe do a collab with local farmer to source farm fresh eggs. Packaging. Yes, I skipped a few steps there. Tagging your suppliers when you post your items on social media in hopes they'll see it and you'll get some extra interactions and so on. Just an idea. Thanks for the helpful info and advice. It has truly changed my small business for the better. And I also like you more than Heather. Hey, that rhymes.
You know she was lying when she started changing that. And it has truly turned. That's a great question. Here's the first thing I'm always going to say is check with your cottage laws before you get involved in anything. A lot of them restrict the use of farm fresh eggs. I know that wasn't like the question, but
she's like, no, thank you.
But what you wouldn't want to do is have anything backfire. So once you're aware of what your state does and doesn't allow, absolutely agree with her strategy here. So she's saying along the line here, if I'm using a local print company,
absolutely,
I want you to tag at that local print company with your business card photo because the odds are they are going to share it.
On that note, I actually got with a card making company for my end of school year pre-sales, and it's 2 strawberries in a basket, and it says you're the very best teacher. And we collaborated so I could market to her people who like homemade things, she could market to my people who like homemade things, and then we could cross promote that way.
Right. So now you can tag them on social media. Listen, a lot of times if someone mentions sugar cookie marketing in the story, it's so simple to click that, like, share to your story.
She's like, don't share it. That's not my ideal client.
I'm sharing it to your story. But the thing is, like, have as many, you could sit down there and say, at what point, I wonder if you tagged Clearbags. I think that they'd almost.
Clearbags does share stuff.
Yeah, I think they'd share stuff. The same way Corrie will tag Joanne's if you use something from there.
But even if you're like, hey, I'm only looking for local orders, do local things. Go to local monuments. Hang out, especially in your stories. If you want to keep that curated feed content, I totally understand it. Go into your stories and say, hey, this is where you're eating at, this new little panini joint.
You know, it'd be so neat if somebody, like, became a tour guide of their local area, but made it into a cookie. So it'd be like,
I said.
It's a genius idea. We live in DC. Get to bacon, buddy.
Yeah, that's a loud word.
Make me the pencil.
Yeah, that's the one I knew we're going to go to. There's so many bricks.
Make me the yeah. So Corrie, like, essentially could, you know, obviously you're not going to tag George Washington and get a
Come on, George.
But the thing is, like, to kind of be seen as a resource and somebody, you know, if you're buying my little bag topper, I'm going to love it. Etsy shop owners are just us on the other end of Etsy.
Amen.
You know, so things like that. I really like that question.
That's a good one.
Okay, voicemail number 2.
Hey, twins. This is Jess from Ohio. Love what you're all doing for us. I really appreciate it. Quick question for you. As my business is growing and I've kind of purchased all the toys that I want to continue on with it, I have a healthy emergency fund. Just thinking about the best way to pay myself, how would you suggest going about that? Hourly, salary? Looking for some insight. Thanks.
Okay, great question. If we're here to make money, how do I make it? Great question. I've been asking myself that all day. But no, the concept is pretty much knowing your numbers. And I know everyone hates that, but a lot of these calculators that are online really kind of help you streamline the process. BakeCalc.com is a great one, and it pays you hourly, right?
Yeah, it does. And is it fair to say that if you are a business owner, you are commission sales?
Yeah, I would say you would pull so a lot of people don't see themselves as 2 people in their business.
Unfortunately.
But you are 2 people. You're the employee who rendered services per the hour that you spent baking, and you're also the boss that capitalized on your employees' labors to get some profit towards the business.
Yes, and true. I mean, that's exactly what it is. And it's a commission-based sales for the business owner, and it's an hourly wage for the employee.
Mm-hmm. So the way that she would be saying is, you know, go to bakecalc.com or create an Excel spreadsheet, you know.
And there's a ton. There's like Cake Boss, there's Bake Calc, there's a zillion of them.
Like, don't reinvent the wheel. Somebody else already invented it. And I have it pulled up right here, and it's asking me for my delivery fees. It's calculating that into the cost. It's asking me for my hourly rate.
You put your ingredients in there so you know how to cost out each batch.
I would say that if you're listening to this podcast and you do not know your costs, I would turn off this podcast and go to one of these websites and really truly figure out what it's costing you to make your cookies. Because if you don't know what it's costing you, and we always say, like, charge enough that you're not, like, hurt in the price of butter increases, but you still need to know if the butter increasing is really eating into your bottom line.
Yeah, so I know a lot of time, I don't know why people say this, but when someone gets into the industry, they're like, go look what the other bakers near you are charging and charge that. But if those bakers don't know their
slippery slope.
Yeah, no one's making money over in Iowa. But if those people in Iowa don't know their cost, and you go look at the local bakers in Iowa and you cost just according to them, you could be working for pennies on the dollar like they are working for pennies on the dollar. So knowing your cost of ingredients, that will be your basis. That is your base price per batch. And then you can add on to what you want to make hourly.
I'm going to just use an example like that we've all ordered from, but we somehow can't translate to ourselves as edible arrangements. Love them. Delicious, weird fruit bouquets dipped in chocolate.
The pineapple ones.
Right. And I do not want a banana dipped in chocolate. I think that was a farce. But the concept of them is that you go online. It has a picture of the most beautiful fruit bouquet you never knew you wanted. When you click to the order button, it's $150. But wait, do you want it delivered? That's an additional $12. But wait, do you want chocolate dip? That's an additional $5. But wait, do you want a balloon? And at this, you end up with a $200
Edible arrangement.
Edible arrangement, right? But it's not like edible arrangement's like, okay, we're going to go see the average price of apples, and that's the cost of our,
Yeah, no.
you know, the edible arrangements is so expensive, and apples are so cheap. What they're charging for is their labor and services, and then they're charging a huge profit, and then they're charging. So a lot of people are like, well, I'm already really expensive, so I'm going to just roll in my delivery fee. Edible arrangements like, see you, boo, I'm here to make money.
And guess what? They're still in business.
And I still order delivery.
I know.
So the kind of thing is know your numbers, then pay yourself hourly. How much do you want to make? Do you want to be considered minimum wage? Then you're looking at what's the industry average right now, $7.50.
Some places $15.
Yeah. So, but really,
Yeah, I don't want that one.
I'm gonna go to the $15 one. But so if you want to choose to pay yourself more, guess what increases your price?
Yes. And that's not a bad thing.
No.
If you are the most expensive and people are buying from you, that is okay.
It's not like Edible Arrangements is going into Walmart's bakery section being like, we're just overpriced.
They're going to the produce department. All these uncut apples.
Bananas are only $1. Right. So Edible Arrangements is not offering fruit. It is offering an experience, and that's exactly what everyone here is doing.
Yes.
You're not offering an I'm hungry, so I'm going to order a cookie. You're offering an experience.
I think we were very roundabout. She was like, girl, it's hourly or salary. Which one?
Anyways, hourly. Thank you so much for your question.
Okay, do you want me to read this one? You want to read this one?
You can. You know what, Mikey, when I was going to India, I drove back with Mike, and he's like, oh, there's a podcast. Can we listen to it?
Oh, great.
And then I played it, and he's like, oh, is that you? Because you sound so much better than your sister. And I was
Who's
like,
talking about me?
yeah.
Love
He
you,
said,
Mikey.
no, it's me. And
Mikey,
he
if you're listening to this, this one is out to you.
Mikey.
Okay, this is our fourth voicemail text message from a 905 area code. Oh, Riley from Ontario, Canada.
Oh, we got the Canadians. Eh?
They're going to hate us for that. Hi, Corrie and Heather. Love the podcast so much. I was wondering about best practices when posting on Instagram and Facebook. Instagram is always where I post first. That's where the majority of my customers are. Then I usually share my Instagram post to my Facebook page. I'm wondering if it should be creating a brand new post on Facebook rather than just sharing the Instagram post. Should the copy be different for both platforms even when posting the exact same photo? Thanks so much. And you're obviously my favorite twin. Oh, there's a big blank and blank. You're obviously my favorite
Oh, that's so funny. She actually wrote that. That wasn't Corrie doing her own little thing there.
Riley from Ontario. That is honestly a great question. And Heather had honestly probably the best answer between the two of us.
Good. I'm going to need a pick-me-up after hearing I don't have a voice for radio. You have a face for radio. You don't even have the voice for radio. So the question is,
should she make two separate posts? Right. But she is making original content for Instagram where her customers lie.
Right. Great question. And the answer is going to be whatever works best for you. So in a perfect world, you'd have somebody hired on to your marketing team who crafts messages specifically for Facebook with call to actions and ratioed image that are perfect for that platform. But in reality, we do not have time. We do not have that money to hire that person. We do not have the resources for it. So we have to adapt our marketing plan. Because the last thing we would want is analysis paralysis where we don't do anything.
Right.
So what I would suggest is focus on your primary, which is exactly what she's doing, Instagram. And then you have your secondary. If you have time to make unique content, great. That would be ideal, but it is not required.
Can I say a user end perspective?
No, you may not. Go ahead.
Okay. That's a close-ended question. From a user end perspective, sometimes when I'm scrolling on Facebook and I see a photo, the photo's beautiful, stops my scroll, and I see the captions, but there's a ton of hashtags under there, I feel like I'm the forgotten audience and that someone just after the fact did the hashtag. It just looks very much like it was shared from Instagram to Facebook, and I don't feel necessarily as wanting to give reactions to it because I feel like they made that post for Instagram and they probably ain't even checking Facebook because that was an after post. So if I could just say, what if you did copy, paste, delete those hashtags, post it on Facebook so I feel like the content was made for me? Right.
Yes, I'm going to agree with that. Or you can do, Tempe had taught us how to store our hashtags using shortcut keys. So you could have about, your 10 industry hashtags, your 10 local hashtags, and then type for each post on Instagram the 10 hashtags that apply to that post and just paste that in real quickly in your first comment, which still counts as hashtags on the image.
So if you're saying sharing from Facebook to Instagram and then first comment.
Yeah, there's a couple ways to skin the cat. Yeah. Sorry for cats out there. But putting in a little bit of effort and having a little bit of game plan would be great. Ideally, yes, if you could craft a unique message across all your platforms for that intended audience, that'd be cool. Most of us don't have the time to.
Hours in the day.
Right. So, meet Edgar. I'm going to give him a little plug. I don't know. You could store up. What?
Let him go.
You could store up a bunch of Instagram specific content and immediately switch it over to be Facebook specific and have that loaded up ahead of time. So again, using automations is one of my favorite things.
True.
So cool. That takes us through voicemails. Corey, what was that number one more time?
Okay, that is 571-556-5644.
You're still with us and not freaked out. We're going to. So actually in group stuff, we're kind of lean and mean. We have finished all the awesome lives. So what was our live yesterday?
We did a live about graphic designing and logos. It was honestly super well done by Vanessa.
Yeah, so Vanessa got in there and really just kind of said some great stuff. One thing I took away that I thought was the best is keep it simple, stupid. She didn't say that. But she said, hey, keep your logo simple. If you're adding so many components of it, it's going to age out real quickly because there's a lot of factors that age out. So, background watercolor may not be popular in a while. Using clip art may not be your vibe in a couple years or a year. The last thing you want to do is constantly rebrand. So she says, get a pretty simple logo. And she resonated with me. She said, I like a 2D logo. And that's what I like as well. Obviously, I like
a lot of big brands, especially in the cookie world, do have that. And
she was like, why even reinvent the wheel? Look at Google. Like all they took is they had a serif font back when they started, and now it's a sans serif font.
Great.
Right. And then Apple's first logo was extremely complex. I don't know if you saw her screen share. And then it became the apple with a reflection. And then they realized that wasn't great. So now it's a pretty flat looking apple.
Yeah. So that was honestly great. Then we had we had an amazing live about the Eddie printer.
Okay, Elizabeth did it.
She did it phenomenal.
She actually watched our impromptu live, and she was like, actually, I have a standing order.
They're idiots.
Let me help you desaturate the image, which really helped today, Elizabeth. If you're listening to this, we desaturated our images today.
But she did a live, and she took you step by step. She even talked about her icing consistencies. It was honestly better live than we could have ever done.
Oh, great. Good to know. And I'm glad somebody else is doing it.
I know. But we have an upcoming live in the works. Just have to nail down the time about packaging. And this lady makes the cutest packaging bows. Honestly, I just want to just hire her to just make bows for my
that's great.
hair.
Oh, that'll be great too. I would not want to see you with a bow in your hair, but that'll be great on a package.
How about Disney ears? Because you're getting the same next week.
Okay, that is super neat. I would like to. Packaging allows you to charge more.
It does, and it adds value. I'm all about packaging. Our next podcast, Heather doesn't know, is about packaging. So,
okay, great. We're filming that later today. Wonderful.
All right, and now we are at Twinterests. So these are things we find interesting, and since we're twins, we are called Twinteresting.
Weird,
right?
But I like it.
So my Twinterest, Heather, for this week, I did not know, not everyone knew about this, but if you have a dehydrator, you need to purchase dehydrator liners.
Tell me more about this very specific thing.
So dehydrators take the moisture out of whatever you think. Think beef jerky, super tasty, definitely dry, right? Okay, but we put cookies in there because we need our icing to dry faster than normal. But I don't necessarily want my cookies to taste dry. Okay. So what prohibits the air going through the grates and going up under are these liners. And they're reusable. You cut them to size. So I always have them, and it makes it so my icing dries, my cookie doesn't dry out. So if you do not have those, you can find them.
So first buy the dehydrator, then buy the dehydrator liner.
Then learn how to make cookies. Put them in there.
And now welcome to your new life's vision. Mine is more of a theory. Someone in the group, and I wish I could find her, but she said, hey, watch this lady on YouTube who I can't remember.
I feel like there's so many.
Anyways, her concept was this thing called the secret to-do list.
Okay.
The theory is this: anything you bring into your house, anything you purchase, creates a secret to-do list. So, hey, I think I'm going to go get a potted plant. Cool. That's such a simple thought, and it's easy to get, and they're cheap and everything. But when you bring a potted plant into your life, you have a secret to-do list. The to-do list is find the sun, prune the leaves, water it all the time. So now everything you bring into your house brings with it a to-do list, much like getting a pet.
Oh my goodness! Don't even get me started.
Right. Even a hermit crab, which I had raised Corey's kids' hermit crabs for a while.
We thought it would be easy, but
it cost me at least $500 in his little setup.
But then Heather was like, the humidity needs to be right. Then they wanted
sands needs to be 75% of the 40-gallon tank. I never saw the crab.
Each crab was like an extra $10.
Right. But each crab needed 7 shells to be able to switch around on.
That was such
They led a great life. It cost me a fortune. But there was such a secret to-do list with those guys when we were at the beach walking down the boardwalk and you were like, grab a crab.
Oh, yeah. I was like, that $5, let's go.
Yeah. $5 balloon into 500,000 million. They were exhausting to keep care of. I gave them to another family who said they will keep the to-do list going.
Keeping those things going, man.
Right. But even like the snakes, they're exhausting too. But everything you bring into your life brings with it a secret to-do list. So when you're at the store and you're about to buy that pair of running shoes because you're going to get into running maybe, just know that now you have a to-do list. You have to put it somewhere. You have to think about it. If you don't want any more, are you going to have to return it? Are you going to have to donate it?
Oh, can I tell you one time my neighbor, and I hope they definitely don't listen to the podcast.
Hey, Denise.
She gave me a plant. I did not ask for this responsibility, but my heartfelt tide.
It was bequeathed to you.
It was. And it had a Goodwill sticker on it. She bought it for 99 cents, so I named him Will. But Will stayed with me for 2 years, but I always felt like, I got to go water Will. Got to go move Will by a window. Got to take him from the window. So finally, someone on the internet in a local community group was like, hey, I'm looking for cactuses. And I said, this is an aloe plant named Will. Would you like to take this responsibility?
He would really like you. But that's an interesting concept. So, just keep in mind. So even and we're going to get into our sponsors, the Eddie printer has a little bit more upkeep than just plug and play, right?
Heather found that out.
Oopsies. I accidentally said, I just assembled him. And they were like, what did you do to him? But yeah, so the secret to-do list is my thing. So just when you're about to purchase that thing in the store, think, 1, do I already have it? 2, do I really need it? 3, am I willing to put up with the to-do list? I think if you look through your house anywhere, you can see a bunch of secret to-do lists that are plaguing your day and taking up your thoughts.
Yeah, wish you would have told me that before I had my son. Just kidding. I love it.
But it's true. Even going to Disney, simple thought, a lot of planning. Yeah.
We have zero things planned.
I just know that we need a planning.
Our bodies will be in Disney with no plans.
Okay, sponsors. It is the Eddie printer. So instead of just saying the Eddie printer, great, that's weird. I just want to talk about some things people are saying in the group that are great questions. Okay. People said, is this taking over the industry? Is this something I should be fearful of?
I thought that was a great question. Yeah. And since I'm the baker and you are the eater.
I think I press print, so I want you to back off.
No, but I would say clients, especially people who are local to you that are looking for custom-made sets, they still want that special design. What the Eddie can do for you in that regard is you can ditch that airbrush, which I hate because I'm horrible at, and add little essence of Eddie into that set to really bring it together. But still keep...
Essence of Eddie.
Oh, that's going to be some fragrance they come out with.
It may smell like a printer all the time. But that's a great point. So should airbrush people be scared? The airbrush producers?
Yeah.
No.
Just kidding.
Sorry, cookie counters. No. No, the airbrush, there's such a barrier to entry with the cost of Eddie that the airbrush people still have a market.
And you can still have that same look at the end of it. So the airbrush and Eddie can create the same look. Sometimes there is a little bit more time involved with the airbrush.
So that's a great point. Eddie's big thing is he saves time. He's not a replacement for anything. He's another tool in the tool belt, but he saves you time. And here's the big caveat. Here's what we'd like to say about the Eddie. Do not pass those cost savings on to the client because you still have to pay for Edward. He's $2,800. I don't even know. In Canada, it's like $1 billion.
Yeah,
I don't know. But in America, it's $2,800, I think, out the door, right? And you get the one printing cartridge. But people are like, well, it didn't take me as much time, so I'm going to discount the cookie. And Corrie, you had an intervention with me about this because I was like, yeah, we're pressing print 12.
You can, even though it feels like it's taking you less time, if you have got to recoup the cost if you are a successful business of the Eddie and the maintenance and your future printing cartridges. So if anything, make the Eddie price towards your highest price point because a $2,500 order, if you're charging bottom dollar, you'll never remake it. You'll never recoup that cost. It'll always cost you.
Oh, yeah. Ordering you keep saying it's $2,500. He ain't.
Oh, $2,800.
Okay, so a $2,800 Eddie, and you're discounting your cookies down to $2 because he was fast. How many more orders?
There's so many.
Right, and you still got to account for your time. You got to account for your cost of ingredients and your overhead. So Eddie is an investment that needs to pay for himself. And the way you're going to do that is by charging more.
Yep.
and finding larger orders. So again, Eddie, the best thing is scale. So we did, how many dozen this morning?
4 dozen.
4 dozen, and it took...
I don't want to tell you how long it took to ice it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but it took, what? How long did it take to print?
I think
we were
about
doing it
20
for maybe
minutes.
15 minutes.
Yeah.
Most of it was us staring in awe of him.
Just being like, what do we do now?
Right.
So much time on my hands.
Yeah, so the Eddie allowed us to print more, but we didn't discount it. We passed the cost along to a corporate client who doesn't care anyways. I think people like to look at corporate clients, and treat it like, well, that's expensive for me.
Yeah,
No, that's expensive for you, a family of 3.
The problem is, me as Corrie would never buy 4 dozen of anything. I don't have even that many friends. I think I have 2. You.
Right.
My dog.
So he's not even getting walked.
Right. So if I'm like, oh, I'm going to charge them for 4 dozen, it's going to be so much money. I don't think they're going to buy it. No, they're paying for a company picnic.
I can't begin to describe to you, just the hosting software we use for client sites is $300 a month. And I don't even blink. It's just auto bills. You know, Corey's
I blink a little bit.
But the thing is, like, my corporate money, I pass that cost on the client. Because we have such a higher margin with clients, it doesn't hurt so bad. But if I'm like scraping by a client, like if I'm charging a client $200 and I'm spending $300 on hosting, when I'm donating my time, I'm literally at a loss here. So with the Eddie, you got to factor in his cost to pay for it so that he can become a part of your profits. And even when it is paid for, keep going. It's not the time to be like, well, now I'm going to pass the savings on to the consumer.
No, this is your time to shine. It's your time to buy another Eddie.
Right. I mean, imagine if you bought a second Eddie, how many more orders can you produce?
How many hands do I have?
How many times do I must press print? But you get the point. So that thing, and do you want to mention anything about CookieCon?
Okay. If you are not going to Orlando, then you're wrong.
Okay, great. If you're going to Texas, you are dead to us.
But me and Heather will be talking, and we'll get the details soon. We don't have them now, but our bodies definitely will be in Orlando.
Here's things I've heard. We need to get pins.
Guys, we have the funniest pins.
Maybe. If you don't think they're funny. Sorry.
We don't have the funniest pins.
And then we have to do something to give away into bags.
We are
have an idea.
thinking about it.
And then...
we have to do like a giveaway maybe if we're involved in that.
Oh, yeah. And then they said, and I'm not sure if we get qualified in this, but a mixer, which is like a game night, and I have the funnest game.
We cannot wait.
It might be the worst game. You guys would hate it, but I don't have to play it because I get to host it. If we can, it would be fun.
Okay, so that's June 2nd. Those tickets go live. They go fast.
The June 2nd is tomorrow.
Oh, crap.
Right. Are you allowed to say crap on...
Oh, poo-poo.
Oh.
Oh, panini.
Okay. So here's the thing. From what I understand about the way the tickets work is you need to be on the website tomorrow.
Tomorrow, and I think it goes live at 9. I don't even want to say like...
Eastern or Western.
No, I know what you're
Somebody's going to be like, what did you lie to me for? But they said just be on the website, throws you into the queue. Mm-hmm. And I think they're offering 900 tickets to Orlando this year.
Okay. 900. We have 17,000 in the group. We better see 900 be there.
We better see 17,000 people in the waiting queue.
All right, guys. Thank you so much.
Okay.